We've talked to people about their main infrastructure concerns and they gave us a lot to think about. We looked for a response to problems, details on how those responses work, evidence on how that support is actually getting the job done, and we know that a perfect solution to all of this does not exist. So we'll take a look at the limitations, but first, back to the problem.
Davison Freeway to 75, and there's always a pothole there.
Right now I'm having flooding still.
There's a lot of people out there that were without power for a long time, and I really feel for them.
Seems like people we spoke to had problems with potholes, basement flooding, and power outages living in the state of Michigan. But what could be some of the solutions to these infrastructure woes? Let's start with the most simple one, potholes. A new study has found that Michigan roads contain some of the most potholes in the entire country.
My tax dollars should be going to the betterment of the roads, and insurance should give us a discount because of the potholes in Michigan or Detroit.
I'm always looking for holes and cracks in the road too. And
Jacqueline Renaud even recently damaged her car just driving to work. According to AAA, U.S. drivers spend nearly $3 billion a year trying to make the necessary repair.
I was actually going home to visit my parents for the weekend, and when I was leaving on the way back, my dad was like, "There's a big bulge in your tire," and I was like, "Oh, that makes sense. I hit a giant pothole on 75.
MDOT folks, government folks, we all drive the same roads, so we all have the same unfortunate things happen to our vehicles.
Diane Cross with MDOT says potholes are so common because of the Michigan weather.
It's during the extreme differences in temperatures in the late fall and early spring when we really get so many of them. And when you get one in an area, even if we go out and fix that, there's going to be more in that same area for the same reason.
And while there's no way of keeping an eye on every single pothole, they take care of as many as they're aware of. But it takes drivers reporting them to the pothole hotline to begin with.
We get somebody out there usually within 24 hours to get that addressed.
In some rare cases, MDOT will even reimburse a driver for damage as well. But once again, those cases are rare.
Unfortunately, it can be quite expensive for drivers, but while you can file a claim against the government, unless there is some sense of true negligence, we knew about it for more than 30 days and we didn't address it, then you may have a case. But for the most part, it's the unfortunate consequence sometimes of driving our roadways.
Moving along to basement flooding, it's a constant problem for Jamaica Jackson in the Brightmoor community.
Especially when it rained like that 40 days and 40 nights last summer. We flooded, I don't know, maybe almost every day for at least a month.
The smell of overflowing sewage is also another reason to cause a stink for Michael Newson.
You can smell it through the night, you can smell it anytime through the day. You know, it's tough to keep our door open because the water, it stands and it's like a marsh out there sometimes.
In response, the Detroit Sewage and Water Department is adding on to their multi-million-dollar stormwater project to collect rainwater and runoff so streets don't flood along with basements.
We're going to install 24 bioretention practices to manage stormwater throughout this area.
Lisa Wallach is one of the people spearheading the project designed to benefit hundreds of families in the Detroit area.
Once they finish with the sewer system that they're replacing, hopefully, it'll be better.
Lastly, power outages are downright horrible in southeast Michigan. Last year, nearly 700,000 people spent a week in the dark.
I was out of power here for 9 days. It's pretty horrifying. It disrupts every aspect of your life, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
But that wasn't the case for the city of Wyandotte.
The longest it was out was this last time, and I think it went out about 8 o'clock at night and it came back on at 5 in the morning. And that's the longest it's ever been out.
The reasoning behind that is the city is only one of 3 in the region that has its own power supply since the year 1894.
One of the benefits that the residents and businesses of Wyandotte have is that it's locally controlled. So my bosses at the end of the day are the residents of Wyandotte, so there's accountability.
General Manager of Municipal Services Paul Amin says because of that, many issues are easier to solve. At the end of the day, it's the residents that benefit the most.
A lot of the residents, you have some bragging rights when your electricity is up, and your neighbors a couple miles to the west may not have theirs up yet. I know it's unfortunate, but there is some local pride in being able to to say that you're up and running before other people are.
People from several other cities want the same thing, but changing over time from a major company like DTE is way harder than it sounds.
To replicate the Wyandotte model in another city, extremely difficult. It would be extremely difficult to unwind everything that's been in place for a number of years, which is why Wyandotte has the advantage from having put this in place well over 100 years ago.
We're not going to lie, a lot of these problems don't have the easiest solutions, but at least the officials who are here also are trying to make things better one step at a time. Helplines to locate and fix potholes are important, yes. We know it may sound basic, but you need to actually report these problems to get results. Also, when it comes to flooding, environmental engineers can help your community. Be vigilant and let your community leaders know that you have issues that you're facing, and educate yourself with all of the resources that are possible, even the ones like a separate power grid. Just remember, if you know of the change that exists, you have the power to make that change in your communities.
Solutionaries needs you to be part of the conversation. Your comments below will help us tackle new topics and track down solutions. And don't forget to subscribe.